talking about The Monkey, directed by Osgood Perkins and starring Theo James. I won't talk about anybody else that's in this film quite yet, but this is based off of a Stephen King short story, and some folks are calling this the best Stephen King adaptation ever, which is from the early buzz of this movie, which is why we were fairly excited about it. That and Matt and I are pretty big Stephen King fans, but this is going to be a fun episode for sure.
Warning. The following show features reviews from wildly unprofessional critics operating without the supervision of professionals. The thoughts and opinions held by these individuals are not to be taken seriously and do not come from a place of intellectual integrity. This show doesn't reflect the opinions of Criticless or its users. Viewer discretion is advised.
So this is our spoiler-free chat for The Monkey. So you can hang out if you don't want anything ruined for the movie. We won't ruin it unless I slip up, and then I take no responsibility for my actions because, well, that's how I roll. So, because as of last week, I caught some major crap for outing the cameo and Captain douchebag. Yeah, whatever. I don't even care about that movie. I let out the one cameo in the entire film, which was completely and totally pointless.
Yeah, I mean, that was just a fan service. It literally did nothing at all for the movie.
Completely pointless. So anyways, yes, we are going to be talking about The Monkey, the 2025 film. It is sitting in at a whopping hour and a half, which is a perfect time for a film.
So great.
It's just like these movies, man, these indie film companies are really figuring out, because they have been like, a lot of these have been on point. Chris, I'm really sad that you weren't here a couple weeks ago. Or was it last? When did we review Companion, Matt? Was that 2 weeks ago?
Oh, no, it was
3 weeks ago.
Right before Valentine's Day?
I have no idea what's going on.
We're like 3 or 4
between my like traveling and everything.
Day was the 14th.
That was only a week ago. So,
so
it was at least 2 weeks.
Before that.
It was at least 2 weeks.
We reviewed a film called Companion. It was also an hour and a half, and we gave it a lot of high scores. I was in the most excellent. But so this movie, like I mentioned, is directed by Osgood Perkins. Now, if you're not familiar with Osgood Perkins, you might be, because this guy actually directed the recent film Longlegs, which got a lot of praise from critics and audiences. Per usual, Matt has a terrible opinion, according to some people. According to some people,
it's not a good movie. People are wrong.
Okay,
I'm right.
Yeah, it's not an opinion; it's a fact.
It is. Well, you know.
Movie.
So, and that movie was starring Nicolas Cage in an interesting role, from what I've heard from the people that like it. But it is currently sitting at a 68% by 69 people. So
it's just that 1%.
I know, 1%.
So close.
And the interesting thing is my Friends with Benefits score is also a 68%, which is that's kind of wild that it's right on par. I'm curious what I'll think, but it is on Hulu now, so you can see it quite easily, which was his previous film. And he followed it up very quickly behind with this new movie of The Monkey. Now, like I said, this is starring Theo James. Now, you might or might not recognize Theo James. He actually was most notably in the, if I remember correctly, he was in those oh God, what were the movies that I thought he was in? Those like very sexual, hypersexual movies, but I can't remember. But maybe he wasn't. I thought he was that guy, but maybe he's not, because I don't see 50 Shades of Grey here on his catalog.
I have no idea.
But he's in the Insurgent films and Divergent and Allegiant, those movies. But really, the thing that I love him from is the recent show, The Gentleman, which if you have not watched, I highly, highly, highly recommend watching. The Gentleman is at 86% right now on Criticless by 28 people. I loved it. It's a Netflix original show, spin-off / continuation / I don't know what of the movie The Gentleman. Yeah, it's a very good show. But so I really like Theo James. When I saw he was in this and who was directing it, I got pretty excited. I do not really want to talk about or show anybody else in the movie, simply because there are cameos and people that pop in and out of this movie. There's several folks that are famous that are in it. But this movie so far, we've got two reviews in the app so far, which is from This Is Savvy, who gave it a 80%, and she liked it quite a bit. And attached to review, which you can check out in the app, and also Max Vident, so a rad. So we have a rad and a most excellent. This just came out tonight, so we are fresh off the press with this thing. And so I want to hear you guys' thoughts. I think I want to hear Chris's thoughts first, because he had not seen a trailer. He did not know what this movie was. He did not know what he was going to see. He knew nothing.
It's just blank up here, man.
Yeah,
great.
Right. I can't imagine. So Chris, what did you think about The Monkey?
I it was a very enjoyable movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the entertainment value, off the charts.
Right.
Is it a good movie? Debatable.
Okay.
But I would probably, you want me to like give a score?
Right. Would you be in like at least at the very least like rad territory on Criticless?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, or most
It's
excellent.
gonna be it's probably like very low, most excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd
Like
rad.
80% or maybe 79.
70s. Yeah.
78,
70s,
79.
80s. Yeah.
So high rad.
Yeah.
High rad. Nice. So you did like it, which I mean, so that's the other thing that I did want to touch on is that this movie, luckily they are billing it as a horror comedy. And I almost would put comedy before horror in a certain sense. It's almost in its own genre. It's almost like if there was just a genre that was called gore. Like,
honestly, it's in the same genre as not Bill and Ted, Dale and Tucker.
Yeah. Versus Evil.
Because it's the same sort of
Evil.
like comedy horror. Well, like you were saying, like it's not a horror first, not really.
No, it's not even
it's not a horror.
No,
my opinion.
It's like a violence comedy.
Yeah.
I don't, and that's not a genre, but like really that's the best way to describe it. This movie is going to be for people who find very tragic, gory deaths funny.
Which I feel like we were the only people laughing,
cackling
in the movie,
which is hilarious because like we walked in right after the trailers and somebody had just smoked a bowl. Like you could see the whole packed theater smelled like weed.
Oh, it was like in the seats.
Yeah,
you couldn't smell any popcorn.
Nothing.
Butter. It was just weed.
Just marijuana.
Yep.
Like
which
it was
funny because I was telling Blaine, I was like, what? Why weren't people cackling? Because if I was high as a kite watching that movie, I probably would have been on the floor laughing. Unless they were disturbed.
True. Because this is like, I could see people. This is a very indie movie. This is a very weird movie. This is probably going to go down as a cult classic. Like I could see it being in that realm of like, this is one of those that 10 years from now, kids are stumbling upon media landscape looks like at that point, and they're like, I just watched this weird ass movie that came out like back when I was a kid, and it's fucking crazy. Like that's what I imagine this movie to be,
right?
Because it is over the top and ridiculous. But I mean, any more thoughts on it, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that came to mind to me was it's like a comedy Final Destination. You know what I mean? Like,
holy shit,
a lot of Final Destination vibes.
Yeah,
that's a great way to put it. And actually kind of
I guess that's a broad way to do it.
It is. And the interesting thing about this though, and I think Tucker and Dale, whatever that movie's called. I think that is a good way to put it. The type of humor here is very interesting because there is a dryness to it. I don't know if Matt, if you agree with that, but I know that you like dry humor. I felt like
there was dry humor. I don't know if it was humorous. It was just dry.
Yeah.
Like the humor came from kills.
Yeah.
Not from like people talking.
Well, and even still, like some of the stuff people said was very dry, and it was clearly intended to be funny. And it's just like, this is either your brand or it's not.
Right. This is going to be very divisive, I think. To the point, but I do feel like it's probably going to land somewhere in the like 50s. I think as an overall, I feel like people are going to dislike it more than like it. I think it's just going to be the few people that are really big into dark humor stuff, but I could be wrong.
All right. So, and Joan Lovelace says from 1 to 10 guys, ? So on a critical scale, so we go to 100, but so technically Chris would be around
7.
like
8,
7.9,
7.8, 7.9
technically. So, I don't know, Matt, you want to go or you want me to go?
Oh, yeah, I'll go next.
Okay.
So I did not love it as much as Chris did. Sure. I am waffling between a high decent and a low rad. I knew it. Because I feel like this movie relied so heavy on just like shocking kills, but they happened so often.
Yeah.
They were
that was the
routine. It was like every 3 to 5 minutes of an hour and a half movie, there was a shocking death. I just felt like it's one of those things where it gets tiresome.
I see what's that?
I see what you did there with the shocking death.
Thank you.
I don't know that that was intentional.
I know it wasn't.
It was completely intentional.
A shocking death, if you, well, you'll understand if you see the movie. There is a shocking, quite literally, death.
Right. But, and that's another thing. So like we were just saying, like all the comedy came from these shocking deaths, not necessarily from the characters themselves. And I felt like the characters were kind of just meh. You know, for me anyways, I was like, didn't get attached to any of them, even when the boys, like it was any of them. I don't want to say too much about like the story or anything like that. I don't know. I never got attached to anybody, and it just was like, okay, shocking death. Oh, that was cool gore. That was a cool kill, but on to the next, like, in between period.
That's very interesting. I can't pin you down.
Dude,
you know, like
I don't like to be pinned down by guys.
I could tell that he wasn't enjoying it as much as you and I were either. Me and you were like just absolutely cackling through this entire film.
Yeah. What was that movie? Was that hunting people down and killing them? Maybe. I don't know.
No, that was people hunting people.
Yeah, they were on a bridge. And anyways.
That movie was terrible. The horror movie, Tarot.
Oh, Tarot.
Yeah. And that one, you were like, it needed more, constant gore and stuff like that, which I agreed with you.
That was because they would just swoop in and do it all of a sudden. And we all thought that movie was a bogus.
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
everyone did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is an interesting, I think where the rubber meets the road is that this movie had comedy in it. And Matt quite literally does not understand comedy. He doesn't.
I don't understand comedy. It's that comedy doesn't understand me.
He's just a stick in the mud.
He doesn't like not having control of his body. He doesn't want to give into something. No. See, he hates that right there. I saw a tear.
You're hating this. Don't enjoy it, man. Don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
Well,
feed my agenda, please. Let me be right here.
Yeah, it's I had a feeling that was where Matt was going to be too. And apparently, guys, sorry, there is some sort of lag happening.
Yeah,
this is the second time we've had it
on our end.
No,
and Xena ran a speed test, and it's not our internet.
So
got to be our stream service.
We think StreamYard has given us hell. Apparently, it has been issues for other people that use it too. Maybe after our subscription runs out, we'll switch to somebody else.
Yeah.
So. Sorry about that. But yeah, so I guess I'll go ahead and give my opinion since we're opinion giving here, and hopefully our shit will fix itself soon here. So, or maybe it's just YouTube. Who knows? I guess if anybody is on X and watching over there, let us know if it's freezing up for you guys too. Who knows? But so my opinion on this movie is I really liked it a lot. Like I really thoroughly enjoyed this movie, and I'm actually in the most excellent territory. Simply because of how much fun I had. I just legitimately had a lot of fun. Yeah. This movie's funny as shit. Like, it made me laugh a lot. And I don't think that this is... God, Matt. Yeah, I don't think that this is the best movie ever, but also, like, if you're into weird horror adjacent movies, if you are into gore at all... Like, and if you're into just like crazy kills and like mentioning the Final Destination, you want to see it done in a comedic way, there's some crazy shit here that is just absolutely hilarious. Yeah. Like,
and dude, it starts off fast.
Yeah.
I mean, first 5 minutes.
Yes.
And it's just like punch you right in the face, right in the gut, some would say.
Yeah. It is the first kill is honestly one of the best kills in the movie. Because it is so absurd and so ridiculous. Yeah. And it's just like every time it happens, you're like, maybe I see what's coming. And then you're like, nope, didn't see them handling it that way. Like you might even see the kill coming, but you don't see the way that the kill is executed coming.
Yeah. Right.
Like when they go left, you'll see it go left, but then they swerve right instantly.
Yes. One of my problems is that they just happen really quickly.
Okay.
Because I was thinking about the Saw franchise. Like I like those, but that's because it's like this tension build over like, can I escape? There's this like fear factor. These movies is just like I open a door and then something happens to me and I'm dead.
It's shock factor.
Literally it is. But all the kills are just shock factor.
Hey, you know what's not in the Saw movies?
Humor? Yeah. Imagine that. Imagine that
connection here?
Yeah, like if you're a person who hates torture porn but likes horror and goriness, you'll probably like this.
Maybe.
Chris and I hate torture porn because we're not fucking freaks. Well, not
I don't like torture porn.
Yeah, but no, yeah, I am. I'm not a huge fan of that type of a horror, so this works great for me. And this wasn't horror, like we said, but it was just a this is a fun, gory movie, which is hard to find.
Yeah.
And, you're going to either get action gore or you're going to get horror gore, but it's rare to fit in this lane. It almost makes me think of like the only people doing anything even quite like this was almost like the old trauma films, as far as like Toxic Avenger and those types of movies where they're just like gore for gore's sake.
Right.
And like in just ridiculous ways where it was like, it felt like Osgood Perkins, like he was like, I want to do practical effects. I want to do digital effects. I just want to make gory things happen. I want to turn people to absolute paste. I want to make people explode. I want to lose limbs. Like, it is just like, what is your favorite kill? Because like Matt said, every 10 minutes you're getting a kill at least. And that's honestly probably favorable as far as, or that's too forgiving. It's less than 10 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
Per kill.
Yeah. There's not a lot of downtime.
No.
And they also don't linger on it too much. A lot of times they'll be like, like, here's a 1 minute pan shot of this, whatever bowelless body. So it's pretty quick and to the point, which I guess is something that Matt doesn't like. So,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to feel it. You know what I mean?
You want to feel something. Anything.
Trying to feel alive.
Yeah, this movie it really did check all the boxes that I like for this type of thing. And so we did not really get into the premise, but essentially the movie is about a magical monkey that causes people to die. And one fun tidbit we were talking about before the movie was that initially in the short story written by Stephen King, the monkey hits cymbals and clangs them together. But essentially Osgood Perkins was not allowed to do that in this movie because when they made Toy Story 3, Disney decided to actually get the rights to a monkey clanging cymbals together, which is absolutely absurd. And so he couldn't do that in this movie, so he gave the monkey a drum. So when the monkey plays his drum, deaths happen. And I don't want to go too much more in depth. I don't think we should.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But it is a magical monkey. And I was worried about how they were going to pull this off and if it was going to make sense with the story and if it was just kind of going to be a little absurd and like how they were, because a person has to interact with the monkey for it to kill people. And so I was like, how are they going to make this work? Because if someone knows that it kills people, why would they mess with it?
Yeah, I mean, and they kind of make it work. It's still like, is it tenuous? You just have to be like, okay.
I mean, it totally worked for me with where it wasn't making sense until it did, and they explained why, and it worked.
Yeah.
So, personally, without getting into spoilers,
right?
So, yeah. But I think that the monkey. How did y'all like the monkey design? I freaking loved it.
It was creepy. Yeah, like it.
Yeah, fully effective. I mean, the fact though, so like when you go to wind it up, the mouth smiles.
Yeah, and the way it does it is
hand goes up.
Super cool.
The eyes are super like too big for the face and like realistic looking to give it this creepy look, and then you just feel like it starts.
Yep.
And it's just
you're like
fantastic.
And
I mean, that's really good. That's why I was like, I'm not like this isn't a bad movie. That's why I was like, it's a high decent or a low rad. I'm not saying this is a bogus.
Sure.
Like Tarrant was. This is definitely got a lot of fun kills, and it is a cool creature design.
Yeah.
So
I think that this is going to go down in like the horror realm of like an iconic film in the horror adjacent space. I think
definitely not a horror film in my mind.
It's not a horror film, but I think I know
it.
We all constantly go back and forth about how we classify movies, but I think as far as the horror audience and the people into just kind of the weird shit, this is going to go down as something that people talk about being really cool and just innovative.
Yeah.
And I think that similar to Longlegs, I think most people are going to like it quite a lot, especially people that are into any movies. But this isn't one of those that you're going to be like telling your parents, like, you should go see this crazy horror movie or like whatever,
This is the perfect date movie, though.
Yes, it is a perfect date movie.
Caveat Ties asked, like, is the monkey going to spank the competition?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the competition is this week. I think it's an action movie.
Is it?
I can't remember what the other thing is this weekend, but I think this will spank the competition because it's a good day movie. Like our theater was
packed
90% full.
Yeah.
And it was the first showing. And I mean, it looked like most of the people were couples.
Right.
And I was like,
there was a lot of couples.
This is a perfect, and it's rated R. So maybe not, this won't be for high schoolers.
Right.
But plenty of college kids and all that. Like, I think they'll all be going to see this.
I can definitely see this hitting the like high school group of people.
For sure.
For sure. Yeah. And wanted to go ahead and give a thank you to Joan Lovelace. Thank you for the $2. So Thanks.
Love Lacio.
Yeah, thanks for hanging around and checking out what we had to say. But
Wait.
yes, what's
Caveat ties. Nothing goes over my head.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh no, we got the spanking the monkey joke for.
Oh yeah, we got it. Well, I mean, Matt's laughing, so it was one of the two things that Matt finds
Did you
funny.
not hear what I said?
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah, and if there's anything you'll know about Matt, he doesn't find anyone or anything else funny, but he sure finds himself funny. If anybody's funny, Matt is funny.
Yeah,
to Matt.
Obviously. ask my wife. She knows.
Yep.
See, she's laughing because she understands.
Most hilarious person that he knows is himself, for sure. Big facts. So, yeah, I think we should go ahead and transition over into the spoiler conversation for this movie. But any last words about it for people, or like what they might expect? Or
I mean, no,
I think we summed it up pretty well for spoiler free.
Yeah, I think we've hit it like for a spoiler free
and quit it.
Yeah, I would say to definitely check this out, especially if for whatever reason you wait until streaming or something like that. Like, it's totally still worth watching when it pops up. This is a fun, goofy movie. It'd be fun to watch with friends. It'd be fun to watch absolutely high as shit.
Yeah.
This is one of those movies that is just like, you don't go expecting to see some type of serious horror movie. Holy crap, we got drunk 3PO in the freaking chat. What's up, buddy? How's it going? So yeah, he hit the transition point of us heading into the spoiler stuff. But yeah, this is going to be one of those, if you are into if you like to laugh, but you also like horror adjacent stuff, this would be fun. I do not think that this is in the like bad modern films. This is actually something good. And I think outlets like Neon and A24, they really seem to be the studios that are really hitting the stuff that's actually good.
And I think that's because they understand not every horror movie needs to be for PG-13. They don't need to pull their punches.
No,
we like gore, and that's what keeps this movie afloat. Because imagine this movie if they took out the gore element.
Yeah,
this movie would not be great.
Right. Well, it'd be like 5 minutes long. So you got that.
That's true.
Yeah. You do have to be okay with the brutality, the over the top stuff, like because it is this movie is like gross and weird, but like we said earlier, it doesn't overly linger. It's not going to make you watch this brutal, gross kill like a lot of these horror movies do. It's just like kill and it's fast and it's done. Which Matt clearly wants.
I mean, you could linger a little bit.
Wow. Which is why it's perfect for those of us that don't like the more over-the-top, in-your-face horror stuff. Which I think is... I was curious where Chris was going to sit with it because I had heard that it was gory and gross and weird. And I was like, oh, man, I hope Chris is actually going to dig this. And one thing that we haven't mentioned, this is based off a Stephen King short story. And I will say that this movie captures the spirit of like written Stephen King almost better than anything I've ever seen to date. I've read a lot of Stephen King over the years. Now, granted, I'm not a huge fan of Stephen King, the human, much anymore. He's just obnoxious at this point. He's one of these people that's fallen down a political rabbit hole and can't seem to find his way out. He's very Mark Hamill in that way. But I do love his writing still a lot. And I'm pretty sure I've read this short story at some point in time many years ago. You probably have too, but
I can't remember.
They're always in these compilations.
I think of the Monkey Paw, which is Edgar Allan Poe and Stephen King. So I actually don't know if I have read this one, but I want to go find it. See if we have it on the bookshelf somewhere, one of the compilation books.
Yeah, it felt like a story because there is just some very weird bits, some strange things that happen in this that feel like a book, and I really dug that stuff. It was just. I like that it wore its weirdness on its sleeve. And that is the big thing about this. If you're into that kind of writing Stephen King stuff, I think you'll really enjoy this.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to get a lot below decents.
No, I don't think so.